Hi there, Renee Tillman, Century 21 Lucky Money Real Estate. I am here today in Colton with Sarah, Jessica, and Chris with Coventry Homes, and I'm excited to bring this interview so they can tell you a little bit about Coventry Homes and what they offer. So first, we'll start with Jessica and Sarah. And can you tell me? They have a beautiful, distinct style. What do you think sets your homes apart in the luxury market? For example, things you offer as standard that others consider upgrades.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say that's a big one, right? So we have the cooktop stoves, all the higher baseboards, and that's standard compared to some of our competitors. Also, I love our high ceilings, our big rooms, our floor plans just make sense. We don't have weird, funky spaces. I would say that's my favorite part of a Coventry home. And I actually live in a Coventry home because of that. I picked it because of the plan. It just made sense.
Okay. And then what does the custom home building experience look like for your clients from first meeting to move-in day?
So we are not fully custom. We are so
I would say more so personalized builder,
Okay.
where we offer more of a personalized experience. I wouldn't necessarily say custom, but there are plenty of structural options that a customer can choose. And going back to standards, there are items that would be considered upgrades with other builders that we offer, such as the indoor fireplace, the beautiful curved staircase in this specific model home. Those are
Mm-hmm.
great examples of some
Mm-hmm.
standards that we offer that are pretty substantial. The alternate kitchen and also the master suite, those are standard.
Oh, wonderful.
Hmm.
That's great. Okay. And once a buyer is under contract, what fees should they expect, such as earnest money, design center deposits, or other costs?
yeah. So our earnest money is 3%, and then once they go to design center, it's 10% of all the structural and design.
Okay. Great. And then do you encourage buyers to use a realtor? And if so, why?
It never hurts to have a second set of eyes reviewing a purchase agreement. I think that sometimes we're all human, so sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a professional outside of the construction industry overlooking
Mm-hmm.
a purchase agreement that can be multiple pages long and intimidating to some customers. So I I if the customer wants a realtor, we never discourage that.
Great. Wonderful. That's
Hmm.
good news for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you comfortable keeping the realtor in the loop when dealing with the client? And how do you go about doing so?
Yeah, it's imperative. Yes, absolutely. So we like to communicate weekly. Chris, our construction manager, sends an email to both if there are two buyers involved plus their realtor so that everybody's on the same page and in the loop of what's happening with the process of the construction of their home.
Okay. So all of you are kind of in the
Yes.
same and keep
Hmm.
the realtor involved.
Oh,
Okay.
Correct.
Wonderful. Okay. And now, last, do you have any special incentives going on in Colton right now?
Oh, gosh, yes. So many. Sarah, do
I'm
you want
excited for them to hear about this.
to? Sarah, would
Okay.
you like to?
yeah. So we have a lot of cool incentives right now. It's a little like that. We have a lot of cool incentives right now. We have basically half off of your options right now, up to 150,000. So if you were to use 150,000, we'd give you basically 75,000.
And upgrades.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, which is awesome. Our lender incentives are amazing right now. We have 6% of the price of the house that can go towards your lender incentives, which that could be buying down your rate or closing costs or whatever's works for you. Because what works for you might not work for me and him and whatever. So, yep,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Those are some great
yeah.
incentives.
And
Okay, we're going to do Chris now. Okay, Chris, we're going to start with the first question is what trends are you currently seeing in luxury home design and how is Coventry staying above the curve?
So I think if we go back a few years to the COVID era and even shortly thereafter, everything in the world was white, white, white. And I think we're seeing a trend as is demonstrated in this model, where some of those earth tones and those warmer colors, the little more homey feel is
Mm-hmm.
coming back around. Which as a builder, really that doesn't mean much to me. I'll build whichever color the client color scheme the clients select. But from a personal standpoint, I like that because I'm more of a warm tone type guy and earth tones and these rich colors and
Mm-hmm.
textures. It looks a little more homey to me, a
Mhm.
little less like you're walking into an office building like we were in the early 2020s. So
Since
I
a lot
think
of everybody's office was their home
yeah,
in the
I
20s.
think
Exactly.
I think the trends that I've been seeing, and they can probably confirm that, is that things are moving more back towards a more traditional color palette.
Okay, well, that's cool. All right, and I told you that I am now a certified healthy home
Mhm.
realtor. And so some of these questions are the things, and I deal with clients that have like the chemical or environmental sensitivities, and they're concerned about these particular questions. So I wanted to give those to you so maybe that it could help direct them and see if Coventry would be able to be a builder that they would be comfortable with. So the first one is when it comes to your building envelope, air, water, thermal, and vapor control layers, what methodologies or best practices do you follow to ensure long-term performance and energy efficiency?
Okay. Currently, we are building to the standards of the uh, Energy Star 3.2, and we have a series of inspections specific to the thermal envelope of the home. In addition to the structural and the um, air duct leakage, um, our inspectors come out and they're physically looking at any penetrations through the building envelope, because that's where the moisture and the
Mm-hmm.
air is going to come in. That's going to lead to those environmental issues, and they're very stringent to the point where we have to install polyseal or expandable foam in any of the penetrations, and if there's any penetrations on the exterior of that plane, we've got to make sure that those are tape sealed or flashed properly. So the biggest issue that causes long-term environmental health issues generally stems around moisture or water.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal is, and always has been, to make sure that that thermal envelope from the outside is sealed up from moisture penetration. Yeah, I envision it as if you took a mason jar and put a lid on it. It doesn't matter what you put inside of there, how well that is sealed up on the inside, as long as the exterior plane is sealed up the best. So we start from the outside and work our way in. And in addition to sealing up the outsides, we're still going around on the inside and sealing penetrations within the building envelope so that we don't have heat, air, or moisture transfer between an air conditioned space and a non air conditioned space, such as a garage or an attic.
Oh, that's awesome. That's incredible. Okay, and then can you walk me through how materials are handled during construction? Specifically, how they are delivered, stored, and protected from weather exposure before installation?
That's a great question. And obviously, in the home building process, we are dealing with environmental factors such as rain, wind, and everything else that comes with the weather,
Mm-hmm.
up until the point where we get it dried in and we have that thermal envelope sealed from the outside and our roof and shingles are on. Obviously, prior to that point, it's always a challenge to have materials delivered on site when there's rain involved. But I like to point out that a lot of the materials that are delivered up to that point in the construction process are largely stored outside, whether it's at a lumber yard or a brick yard or a shingle warehouse or whatever. So the key to know is that once that thermal envelope is sealed up from the outside and the roof is everything is dried in, we're in essence, without it being fully air conditioned until a certain time much later, we're working in a dry environment, because once we get the roof dried in, the materials, even if they did get wet or get dirty or whatever throughout the process before the roof was put on, now that it's dried in, those things are going to continue to dry out over the remaining build process. As far as material storage later in the process, obviously when cabinets, um, wood trim materials, those types of things are delivered, the home is already dried in. We're not really at that point concerned about moisture intrusion, not worried about our cabinets getting wet and our trim getting wet at that point because our home's been dried in.
Okay, that's good. Okay, and then what kind of oversight or quality control is in place during construction, particularly regarding the trades? How involved are you are your superintendents or project managers in ensuring each phase meets your standards? So how often are you out there? Like, how are you making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do?
We're on site every day, multiple times a day, many times. I handle a couple of different communities, so I'm traveling from this community to others, and I'm looking at each job site every single day. Uh, in the in the instance of Colton, where I have multiple homes under construction, I spend the bulk of my time here, so I'm in each of those homes several times a day. And when we have a lot of trades working on site, it varies how often I have to go by. If there's nobody, if there's one guy doing one thing that day, I'll go by, double check that work. If there are multiples, then I'm going to be in there checking everybody's work afterwards. Quality control from the construction manager, the person on site responsible for building the home, is critical of importance. No matter who the builder is, um, as long as the person who is responsible for the daily operations is managing those trades and that job site properly, that's really where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, I have to agree with you there. And that's always sometimes hard to do when you have, you're in charge of multiple communities and multiple houses, but it's great to know that here in Colton that you're here most of the time and you're on top of the houses being built here because you want to make sure that they're doing what they're doing and
Absolutely.
what they're supposed to be doing. And not all of them always do that. We know. Okay. And then do you allow or encourage third-party inspections such as HVAC, commissioning, track, phase inspections, or even specialized assessments like mold inspections?
We never discourage anyone from having another set of eyes. There are a lot of folks in this trade that wear my uniform that get their feelings hurt, almost like someone's checking their homework and giving them bad grades. And I've never discouraged that. I actually I welcome it. I've worked with Trek inspectors and all manner of inspectors throughout the process for over 20 years in this business, and I've never had any issues. I'm pretty transparent, and I feel like when I look at those inspection reports, I've got a pretty good grasp of what to expect and how to mitigate any questions or concerns that buyers would have. I go over them just like their hired inspector goes over them. I like to review them as well, explain any things that the inspector has pointed out that they have concerns about, and then answer any questions they may have. Because there are some standards that we build to that are higher than Trek's minimum standards, so it makes things look a little bit differently. So when a Trek inspector is inspecting to, if they're inspecting to a minimum standard and we do something up here, then obviously I want to be able to explain that to our clients and let them know how they're getting more than
what's
more
required.
than what's minimum
Yeah,
required.
that's great. That's a great thing.
And once the home reaches a certain stage, we also, as sales consultants, reach out and let them know that are you planning on having a home inspection?
Mhm.
So we always ask the customer as well if they plan on doing so, so that we can set everything up accordingly.
That's good. And if they have a realtor, they will be telling you to get another inspection.
Exactly.
And if a qualified third-party inspector makes recommendations, especially regarding moisture management or conditions conducive to mold, how do you typically handle that? Are you open to acting on those suggestions as a homeowner requests?
We are open to acting on those as long as, again, we're continuing to build within our standards of practice. Obviously, if someone provides an inspection report, we're going to give it our best effort to make sure that the homeowner is satisfied with the end result, because ultimately we're all out here trying to do the same thing, which is bring people their dream homes. So just like you're working for their best interests as their realtor, we are as well, because this is our product that we're going to market with,
Right.
and they're our clients too. So we want to make sure that they're happy.
Right. That's good. And okay, my last question is, are you comfortable if they have a realtor, if we go through those inspections, those walkthroughs and stuff with our clients? Because we like to be with them and kind of hold their hand and make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and be their support, because this may be their first home, but it's a huge purchase. And as a realtor, we want to make sure that we can be there to say, if they're not comfortable asking you a question, we can do it for them.
I absolutely welcome that. One of my um, key touch points with any of our clients that purchase with us from the ground up is we have a pre-start meeting, and I spend the first 10 or 15 minutes just getting to know people, find out where you're coming from, have you done this before, because that allows me as their builder to tailor my presentation to them. If this is their first time, I know what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I know how that feels. I know how nerve wracking and anxious it can
And
make people feel.
overwhelming. Yeah.
And differently than folks who have done it 4 or 5 times, they're not going to have the same questions
Mm-hmm.
that this first time couple has that's building their first home where their kids are going to be born.
Right.
You know, they're really going to be emotional about certain things, whereas someone who's a little more experienced in the process, they won't have those same concerns, but they'll have a different set of concerns. So I tailor my presentation to my clientele, and the only way I can do that, excuse me, is to get to know them a little bit.
That's great. Well, thank you guys, Jessica, Sarah, and Chris, for telling me a little bit about Coventry Homes. If you guys are interested in Coventry Homes and you like what you heard today, then come out and visit them in Colton. We'll be happy to give you a private tour of their model homes or help you pick a floor plan that fits you and your family. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.